So today I will talk about barycenter in the Wasserstein space, which are basically freshemies with the Wasserstein metric. So we choose to penalize them for several reasons. For one, it can be of interest if you have irregular data, and also we can in this settlement we have access to the inverse problem theory, and then we can obtain some bound in terms of breakband distance. This is why we decided to add a convex function to the Wasserstein barycenter in order to obtain some convergence theorem on the empirical barycenters and its population version. So this is a joint work with Jérémy Bigot and Nicolas Papadakis, my advisor in Bordeaux. And what I will present you today, it's an overview of the work we did, and you can, if you are interested in this work, you can check in archive. Oh, okay, I have to. Okay, some motivation. I don't know if you know actually the Wasserstein barycenter, but basically, what it's interested with it keeps the structure of the data. Here you have several histograms, and one histogram represents the distribution of a given name in the last century in France. So what you have to retain is that most of the histograms are of this form. So it's shaped like a Gaussian in a way, with a spike which represents the trend effect of a given name. And histograms like Carmen and Pierre, here and here, which are more uniform on the century, are not that much represented in our dataset. So, if you do the Euclidean barycenter, you will not keep the structure of the data, and you obtain, not a uniform maybe, but you obtain this histogram. And you totally lost the trending effect of a given name. With the Wasserstein barycenter in here, you keep this structure, and you can say that a name, when it is given, you have the trending effect the same. Okay. So now, what we want to do, it's basically for observation. When you have access only to observation in statistics, you want to add some regularization in order to be able to work with this data. So this is why I present the model that we've done. First of all, sorry, this is the definition of the Wasserstein metric, which is the minimum over the set of product measure on set of product measure on a subset of RD in our case. And in the 1D case, it's interesting to note that it's exactly the L2 metric for the quantile function of the measures. And there, it's the Wasserstein barycenter is defined as the argmin for the mean of the Wasserstein metric squared. So this is like the Freshe means. So in our case, we decide, as I said earlier, to add a regularization function. So it's a strictly convex function, and as so, we can obtain unique barycenter, regularized. And if you put gamma equal to 0, you will obtain the Wasserstein barycenter presented by Agay Carlier in the paper of 2011, which is really interesting if you want to take a look at it. And we are going to work with this barycenter. We want to prove that, we will prove that under some condition, it will converge with a rate of convergence to the true barycenter. What I call the true barycenter is Okay, I will present you later, but the true barycenter is for gamma equal to 0, and the population probability measure over the space of probability measure instead of the empirical probability measure. Okay, for example, if you take E as the negative entropy, you will enforce your barycenter to be absolutely continuous with respect to the Lebesgue measure. And it is of interest because, for example, Agé and Carlier proved in their paper that if you have at least one of the measures that is absolutely continuous, then your barycenter will be absolutely continuous. So in our case, if we have just observation data and that our measures are discrete in some sense, we would like to recover the true barycenter, and for that we know that it should be absolutely continuous with respect to the Lebesgue measure. So this is one way to enforce this barycenter to have a density. Okay, so let me present you the object that we will work with. This is what I call the population barycenter. So we take the integral with respect to the probability measure P. And if you go from here to here, you just add the regularization, and from here to here, it's just the empirical version of the probability measure P. And you obtain what I call the regularized Wasserstein barycenter, empirical also. The first work that we've done, it's with in terms of Bregman divergence, as I said at the beginning of this. At the beginning of this talk, to work as in the inverse problem. So the Bregman divergence associated to the convex functional E is defined here. Okay, and here it's a symmetric Bregman divergence, just in order to have a symmetric behavior. So, first of all, we can show that the regularized population barycenter will converge towards the population barycenter when gamma tends to 0, and this is due to the gamma convergences. So it's not the most interesting property actually. So I will go directly to the other one that I found more interesting. It's this one. Actually, we can have a rate of convergence in the expected squared Bregman divergence between the Wasserstein empirical regularized barycenter and its population counterpart, still regularized. So you have a rate of convergence of order 1 over gamma squared n, and it depends also on this quantity. So H is the set of functions that maps mu to the squared Wasserstein distance, and between mu and nu. Mu is in all the space of probability measure on our subset omega. And what you have to understand from it, actually, it's what is really important, it's the metric entropy. So the metric entropy is the logarithm of the covering number, and the covering number is the number of balls with radius epsilon norm of H. So the number of balls that you will need to recover your space H with this metric, the L2Q, which is the L2 metric over the space of probability measure. So in this sense, since we take the integral, as epsilon tends to 0, this metric entropy will explode, basically because you will need more and more balls to recover your space. But what we want is that this metric entropy will not explode too fast, so we can control it. So luckily, we can see the metric entropy of H that it boils down to the metric entropy actually of the space of probability measure over omega, which boils down to the metric entropy of omega, and this is just a remark to say that if we don't have the capacity of omega, this number cannot be finite, because we will not be able to work over this space. Okay, but luckily, as I said, in 1D, this number is indeed finite, because it is of order 1 over epsilon at the power d. D is the dimension of our space omega. In 1D case, it's just 1. And we can obtain this bound and this rate of convergence. Quickly, this one, we can also obtain it because as I said earlier, the Wasserstein metric in 1D is exactly the L2 metric of the quantile, and you can study the metric entropy of the space of quantile function, and you can obtain the same result. Okay. So in this case, in the 1D case, we have that the empirical Wasserstein barycenter, regularized, indeed converge to the true Wasserstein population barycenter. So you have to take gamma, which depends on n, and to have this property in order that it works. Okay. Another result, which can be of interest, is the stability of the minimizer. What I call the stability is that if you have two sets of measures, in here it's mu nu1, nu n, and eta 1, eta n, you can obtain from them two Wasserstein empirical barycenter, regularized, and you have you can control the Bregman divergence between this empirical barycenter in terms of the the Wasserstein metric. So why it is of interest actually? For now it's just a result, but if you have actual data, so observation that I name xig in here, you obtain this regularized barycenter with empirical, if you know, empirical version of the nu I, nu 1, nu n. Okay, so now you have, in terms of expected squared Bregman distance, you can control it by the expected squared Wasserstein distance. And this is interesting because there is a lot of work on this object, and maybe you are aware of the work of Bobkov and Ledoux in the 1D case, and it's really well understood, really well studied. So from here you can obtain some convergence theory. Okay. Now, some application. I will have 100 random Gaussian distribution. So in here, and from each distribution, I generate a few number of observation. So between 5 and 10, and I obtain empirical measures nu I. Okay. So this is my my data, and then I compute Wasserstein empirical barycenter. So our barycenter is the one in warm color. The black curve represents the true population barycenter, non-regularized. And we know it because for Gaussian measure, actually the barycenter is known, and it's completely computable in closed form. And so we can represent it here. And so we have a small comparison, but okay, it's one comparison, and it can be 1,000. But the blue curve, the blue and dotted curve, what we did is we have our nu I, which are just spike, and we smooth them with a Gaussian kernel, and we choose the boundaries by automatically selection. And then, on these smooth curves, we apply, we look for the Wasserstein barycenter, which can be done with the quantile functions. And we obtain the blue and dotted curve. So for what it was, I think that it's not that bad what we obtain. And for the first one, we choose the Dirichlet regularization. The second one is the entropy regularization, and the last one is a combination of the linear combination of the two of this regularization. Okay, and I think it's all some references, a lot actually, and okay, I'm open for questions if you have. Thanks.
Thank you. So we have some time for question.
Hey, thanks for the nice talk. So in 2015 there was a paper by Alvarez Esteban et al. Where they considered how the barycenters are fixed points of certain functionals. So for this penalized version, do you think you can also find such an operator so that the penalized barycenters are the fixed points of the operator?
We did not look for such a result. So it's not regularized, right? It's not regularized as
Which one?
the one from Esteban and...
No, it's just the regular barycenter.
Yeah. Actually, for a lot of these results can be done with, well, not a lot, but some of these results can be obtained from the original barycenter. So I don't know, but it was maybe a look at it. I don't know, but thanks. I will. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also from my side, very interesting, your consistency result. So I just wonder about general other Wasserstein concepts. Is how much is known about consistency?
There was a paper, I don't know if it's published, but from Esteban also, I guess, with the theorem central limit theorem for this Wasserstein metric, not for the barycenter, but for this Wasserstein metric.
For the regularized one or the general one?
No, not the regularized one.
The general one.
It's a general one.
With
But this, for this generalized, regularized one, you ask. I think that, but I don't know if he's working on it right now. But Guillaume Carlier saw this problem as, you can see this problem as a flow gradient problem. The Wasserstein metric, it's the same. And when you add this regularization, for him, who knows a lot about differential equation, it comes to a known equation that I cannot remember now, but I think that Guillaume Carlier has ongoing work on this this setting. But
Okay, well, thanks.
it's not published.
Any other question? So maybe I have one question on the statement of your theorem, the law of large numbers, because you have this quantity, the I quantity, the quantity that depends on the covering numbers.
Yeah.
And then you have a finiteness result in dimension 1.
Yeah.
And in dimension 2, what happens?
Actually, we extended this result for greater dimension. But what you have to do is put more constraint on the regularized barycenter in order to have a smaller space to recover with your balls. And so what we do is we choose regularization function which can smooth enough the barycenter in order to recover a smaller subset of the H function that I mentioned. But yes, we have to do that.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
let's thank the speaker.